Oh, hi. Check this out. Check this out. Check that out. Just check it out. Get yourself focused. Focus? Focus? Okay. Bad jokes. But yeah, this is a special day and a special bike to a special someone. You know, you get one of those situations where you've been in the cycling industry or whatever industry you're in and you're passionate about it. You have all these characters that come in your life and in and out and so forth. Well, Mr. John Bradley has been part of the Parker Bikes family from late 80s to now. So he is a family friend for sure, and you've probably seen him on a couple of videos of mine related to industry topics, but this is his ride, and we're gonna check it out and gonna dive into all the really weird things about it. No, just kidding. I'm not gonna go into that much detail of it. Well, maybe. Anyway, he has an awesome bike. He rides a lot. The cat is in his late 60s. I don't know. Super fit. You just can't tell. But he has a rack of bikes that he rides, but this is his go-to fast one when he goes with and keeps up with the Joneses, right? So he brought it into me to do some work. Reason being is, wait, we'll go over that here in a minute. You'll have to catch it after this. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe. Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy, and this is my little satchel of goodie bags. This is what they used to use back in the day to give your little lunches while you're racing, that kind of thing. I think. I'll have to double check with Mr. Bradley. Drop this off just for show and tell. There's definitely some history behind this, and if I have opportunity, I will insert that history now. But in any case, apparently it didn't show up today. Well, no, just kidding. What we're looking at here is a Focus full carbon road bike. Can be used as gravel, sure, but the tight tolerances of the rear and also the fork will limit you to a certain tire width. But needless to say, when you have through axles with disc brakes, you can do a lot of conversions to that, a little bit more knobbier than they are what we have today. That's one of the benefits of the disc brakes. The other one is counterintuitive, which means high maintenance. But we're not talking about brakes today. This particular one has some fancy internal cable routing. Fancy. And when it comes to fancy cable routing, even some of the people that have been in the industry for a long time are afraid to work on their own damn bikes. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. He's probably more than happy to dive into it, but he's like, you're more hands-on with these situations than I am, so I'm gonna let you do it. More than happy. He's helped me out, helped my family out. Family friend for years, thick and thin. And here we are. We're going to be looking at this Focus carbon bike with Eve wheels and Ultegra componentry. Oh, get myself the shivers. Any case, I like cool bikes. If you haven't seen yet, I have one on a Dean Titanium. No, not Dean, sorry. Whoa. It was actually a Moots that I worked on. Wait, the video's not out yet, so working on that. But in any case, I have a Moots and a Parlay one coming out here in the next couple weeks, so keep an eye, a little teaser on that for high-end fun stuff. This is right within that wheelhouse of crazy, should it make nerves to work on it? Oh, hell yeah. But I've done a lot of these, so that nervousness has gone down. In any case, I'll just blame John for screwing something up if, you know, whatever the case. The internal routing on this is kind of interesting. He just thought he had a frayed cable in the back, and it's like, oh, you have internal routing. It's like, okay, I've done several bikes, especially newer ones too, with that sleeve type kind of scary thing to do. It has hydraulics, so I don't have to worry about that too much in a sense, but the cable goes in the front end here, and we realize that the housing is split from the end from turning. You see the binding? Well, you can't see the binding. You can see the binding there when you turn. That puts a lot of stress on that particular point, and therefore you need a little more of a bow. He's not going to like this, but I'm going to force him. You're going to need a little more housing to prevent that from snapping. And yeah, it's going to slow you down by nothing. But, you know, just make sure you just go to the bathroom before you go on a ride. It'll be compensated to the difference in the weight for sure. Any case, sidebar, some people really get into weight, which is fine, fine, what have you. He's a former racer back in the day. He's been in the industry for a long time. Really kind of sensitive about those kinds of things when he's riding. Not sensitive like crybaby sensitive, but just sensitive of aware of the fact that he wants to go a little bit faster. In any case, sidebar on that. Sorry. Just want to poke fun on this bike because this is the only opportunity I'm probably going to have to, and you'll probably never ever bring this bike back to me again. But in any case, well, we're looking at internal cable routing. That's what he just basically wants to address. And he's like, oh, well, you know, while you're here, can you throw on some, well, I'm going to have to pull this apart anyway to get to the cable. So he's like, hey, well, by the way, can you put on some bar tape? I'm like, yeah, I'll rewrap, no worries. Definitely done a lot of wrapping throughout the years. Not the, you know, music type wrapping. Just wrapping bars. And that was a bad dad joke, was actually from my dad from back Barker Bikes days. We used to wrap all the time. Any case, then he talked about, well, your chain stretched. And he was like, oh, I got a chain? And I was like, hey, have you tried the wax yet? And he's like, well, I haven't really tried wax because I have like probably cases of WD-40 because he worked for WD-40 Bike for a while, which is this stuff here, which everybody in the industry prior to that was like poo-poo caca on all WD-40 things. And they did a bike division and they pulled out of the bike division in the sense of high promotion and all that. I don't know, the company probably didn't see that much money into it. They still have a bike lube line out there. Don't get me wrong, still there, still exists. You'll find it at Walmart and various other places, but they don't have a division like John was a part of doing promotion, all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, they used them, abused them, threw them back in the ocean. But lo and behold, he had several cases of the Tri WD-40, and he was like, oh, well, I have so much of this. It's like, dude, you got to try wax. Why? Because you'll go that much faster. So the cable housing I'm going to extend on your bike is going to be offset by the efficiency of the wax that you have on your chain. I swear, you're not going to be any different or notice any difference. In any case, I'm going to do a special because he's been helping me out with various other things and also keep me from, you know, going too off on the side rails and doing my my videos about topics of the industry, because I like to just veer off and he kind of reels me back in a little, which is great. So I'm going to do the elevated tune on this. In other words, I'm going to replace the cable and housing for the rear, maybe the front, depending what the condition it is on that, and make sure it's clean and everything. If it's still intact, it's good. I do have some, well, he did bring in cables and housing of his own. Yeah, and it's funny, is this from him? Because it has brake, which has hydraulic. That doesn't, in any case, we'll put a stainless steel rolled cable on there and put in some nice Jaguar lined, lubed housing, which will give the efficiency on that. So should be shifting like butter and so forth. But on this particular bike, the old Tiger crankset is part of that recall. He has had it inspected, so it's all good to go. The drivetrain clean, going to do the cassette, the crankset, pull the derailleurs off, give those a good wash. They probably have not seen the ultrasonic cleaner. I don't think he has ultrasonic cleaner himself to do that. Ultrasonic cleaners, you can pick them up for like $150 to $200. For the big ones, if you're just going to do chains and cassettes, you can get that price down to like about $80. And then you can do fine jewelry and glasses and all that weird stuff. But it's a good thing to have to be able to clean those little bits and get, you know, all that gunk out type thing. In addition to, these are some fancy nice wheels. Yeah, I'm probably not going to need to do any truing or anything out to them, but I'm going to clean them and put a nice ceramic coating on them. Yeah, in addition to the frame, I'm going to do some high polish detailing and put some ceramic coating on that too. That ceramic smoothness and efficiency is probably going to save him the amount of time of wattage it was for that little piece of housing I'm going to have to put on there. Maybe not. In any case, it's going to be super slick, super smooth. This bike hasn't been spa'd, so we're going to give it the spa treatment, right? All right, Focus. You never heard about Focus? You're probably right. It's more of a niche line. I wouldn't say super niche. I think you see them on the Tour de France. I've seen them around. They're usually the high-end elite road riding kind of stuff. Really nice bike. It has a lot of nice, it's, you know, full carbon. They all have their own terminology of a dampering technology systems or whatever that kind of be. But it does come with some seriously nice wheels. The ulterior componentry is pretty slick. It works well. Although he wanted to get some new hoods because this one was buckling out, or one of them was buckling out. Oh, did I get it to stop buckling? In any case, you're going to find these in the States if you order the wrong set, which I'm kind of secretly known. I'm glad he couldn't find them, because in order to get those hoods on there, I'd have to disconnect the hydraulic brake line to get it installed from the back end. You can't go over on top on those. You can, but it stretches stuff out a little bit, and you have a very tight tolerance right here, and you have a big gap that has to go over. That will probably damage. The only really good way of doing it is from the back end. Well, the only way you can do it with the back end is if you disconnect the hydraulic line, and that we could just say is a pain in the ass, because then you have to re-bleed the brake, which the brakes are working fine. As all mechanics out there, I know you know who you are. You secretly are not going to say, oh, they are such a pain in the butt to work on, because most times, I would say about 80% of the time, they're fine when you bleed them and everything works out just great. But you'll have that 10 to 20% of the time, you'll go down the rabbit hole and you just constantly bleed it and what have you, and then you just have this hot mess, and it turns out there's some bad part. Unfortunately, since everything's internal, you can't tell until you're done bleeding the damn thing, and then guess what? You have to buy new parts, and then you have to go back step into it. I had a bike just recently I had to do that on. About pulled my hair out. Whatever's left, I almost had to pull it all out, because, you know, it just drives you mad. It's one of those things, as a mechanic or a professional, you like working on them, and you like to be successful of working on them. You want the win. You want to be able to get it better than it was before. And when you can't do that, and there's barriers in the way of unknown origin, it just drives you insane. We lay in bed at night thinking about your bike that we couldn't quite get just right, or those little things that I should have fixed that, I should replace that. I mean, it's like those things are in your head all the time. And when we hear something that comes back, it's like, oh, it's out of adjustment, so forth, and we're like, damn it, on ourselves, because, you know, we're just professional, and that's the kind of mechanic you want to vet to work on your bikes. In any case, cable routing first. I'm going to address that. I use a sleeve system. Sleeve through there before you pull the cable out, so it doesn't drop, so you're not fishing it. This has a funny little L bend here, which I'm going to have to take a little bit closer look. It probably has a guide, I would hope, in there, because if not, it's going to act like a saw and cut through the carbon eventually at some point. That's what we're looking at here. Going to be working on making this bike fine-tuned and waxed and all of that. So we're going to dive into this and go over some details of what I found and what was hard or not hard to do. And hopefully we'll have some polishing conclusion of putting it all together, and can't wait to take it for a test ride. Yeah. In any case, let's get cracking. Here we have it. Ooh, look at that. DT Swiss hub. Yeah, definitely a cleaned rim. A little bit of ceramic wax coating on that. It is true. Rotor is true. Everything looked pretty good. Got a little tire treatment on there. Yep, uses this guy here from Mother's. That works pretty well for parts as well as Armor All for the tires. This is Purple Power for cleaning agent that I do 50-50 with water. So yeah, washed up and polished the pedals, and those are the cables will be going on there. Even wipe down the pump and make that look nice, right? Yeah, look at the chain rings. Looking pretty good. And we got this rear derailleur and front derailleur all cleaned up and ready to go. Reason being is we're doing this guy, wax chain. So yeah, we got ourselves a stiff waxed brand new chain that will need to be installing here shortly. But well, I still need to clean the brake pads. I need to clean those off, but got some ceramic coating. Oh, what's that going to go on? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. The cassette, super clean as well. Obviously you want to clean this too, just in case, well, because you're doing the wax chain, just in and all. Do a little bit of scratch and swirl compound and polish to the, yes, you guessed it, to the frame. So dive in there. There's some boo-boo areas. Oop. I just can't believe I did that. Some smushage. Wipe that off here in a second. But got a couple boo-boo areas, and they had a major boo-boo area down here. It actually cut through into the carbon a little bit. So what I did is took those nail wraps and then did a hard UV clear coat, basically nail polish UV. As you can see, the UV hanger right there, that's the UV light. Also put it out in the sun to harden it up. So this will give it a little extra protection so it's not exposed to carbon, that kind of thing. Plus it makes it a little bit cleaner looking. Even though the crankset's going to be covering this, you're not going to really see it. But I just want to make sure, attention to detail of that. Also has some little boo-boo areas here from scarring. Something happened, not sure, going to ask them about that. I think what happened is the wheel was not in there quite right, which I don't think how that could be with being a through axle, but somehow, or the rotor or something got damaged and scratched the heck out of the frame. In any case, this has been ridden a lot, so you got a little bit here and there. But overall, with the ceramic coating and cleaning of this, it should be pretty immaculate. Yeah, I'm going to replace the front cable. Reason being is when your front cable starts to look a little frayed at the point of contact or clamp, this can give. And if that gives, well, then you don't have any shifting power. And no shifting power is basically your shift. Yep. Anyway, bad dad joke. Gonna have to move the bell or at least thread the cable through there too. So this is kind of interesting is the cables obviously go through, and then I have to do adjustments or cable housing prior splicing before I can thread it through. Should be a straight shot. Reason being is you got the port here. I couldn't put my thread casing through here because the hole is just way too narrow in there. But on this particular frame, it's not too terrible due to the fact that I have this nice gap here to, actually even bigger gap, to take a magnet and thread that cable down and through, so it's not going to be too terrible. I've worked on a couple specialized bikes where this area here is about a third of the size of the opening, and it is more than a nightmare to try to get those cables to come through. But in any case, this bike is going to be smoking. And also have the sleeve, like I mentioned before, I try to do for the up top, but it actually works on this one here. I might see if I have a skinnier sleeve before I go ahead and just pull the cable, rethread it. But I'm going to pre-cut the housing first, so it's just pretty easy just to thread through. Once I got the threading, then everything will basically just comes back on, and it should be ready to go here shortly. So that's a quick review of the parts. We will definitely review the final result here after we get it all wrapped up and talk about that here shortly. There we have it. Yeah, check this out. It turned out miraculous. Little boo-boo area, you can't even see it even though it's protected now with a little bit of press-on nails. I'm gonna have to get a little interesting industry tidbit tricks in there. Anyway, polished up frame, super shiny, wheels turned out great, rotors are straight, pads are good. Put the wheels back on, the brakes are centered and everything, so that's all good. Once I got the wax chain on her and shed it, it just shifts like butter. The cable routing actually wasn't that too scary. Lucked out, they didn't cross over too much. It doesn't bind up with anything that's already in there. So that lies an issue when you have ports coming down, those, and it's designed to go across, which is fine, but there's that housing bit for the disc brake that you got to kind of navigate away from, because if that housing gets tied up with that, it's going to cause shifting issues. Usually I put a sleeve in there so I can track it back, but the ports where the cables go into are too narrow for the sleeves that I had, so I had to just go with it. Seems to be fine. I'll let them know of that, of course. There's always that, oops, boo-boo, and I'm sawing your hydraulic line. I don't think it would do that. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it would. In any case, awesome little Focus bike. I mean, full carbon, Ultegra componentry. The componentry level, when I'm looking at with this, it's probably a 2014 to 16, somewhere around there, I would guess. Yeah, it probably would be because of the actual recall crank number on there, which I did check, and he has had that inspected within the last year. They're supposed to be inspected every 6 months to a year. What an added burden to your cycling experience. But in any case, wrap went on really well. So yeah, overall, the time it took just cleaning and prepping the frame for ceramic coating, all that. There's a big lift if you have ceramic coating done on your car or boat or what have you. You know it's a very expensive process of cleaning. Bikes are a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to clean and do that prep work with. But still, doesn't take away from the time that actually is put into it, and also waxing a brand new chain. The wax feels like it's really adhered on there. I'm really interested to see what his thoughts are on wax chain and how it shifts and smooths, because this is the WD-40 guy that worked for WD-40 bike division when it came out with their own lubes and applied them. And that's why he hasn't done wax or any other, because he probably has a couple cases of WD-40 dry lube just sitting there like, what do we use this for? Well, he's a tech geek anyway, being in the industry for over 50 years. I'm happy to do a full, beautiful tune-up on it for dialing it. I hope he's impressed. There's obviously some things I just can't restore. I'm not a restorationer or whatever. I'm definitely a refurbisher. Anyway, I take what I have and make it better. I don't make it to exact mint as it was before. Two different things. Any case, yeah, if I could spend days on correcting each paint chip and days on cleaning the decaling and all that. It's more function over fashion over function, but the fashion portion of the actual ceramic coating actually does a protective well against UV protection, water droplet buildup, dirt shedding, all those things are great. So actually it'll protect the frame a little bit better and keep it a little more pristine over a longer period of time. If you're the kind of rider that rides something and just let it sit wet, that kind of thing, ceramic coating will help you clean that off, even though that mud and that dirt is dried on there. So there lies the beauty of ceramic coating your frame and wheels. And parts. You can do the shifters, the derailleurs, and brake, cover, all that. It does multiple surfaces, so it does really well. I use the Lithium's ceramic slam. It's pretty easy to use. It's stackable. Some brands, and it flashes fairly decent, but it doesn't have a smear flash. So in other words, when you knock it down, you can do it whenever afterwards. It should still cure like all of them over 24 hours overnight to really set itself, but this thing is bueno. It is nice. If I even said that right, probably not. Sorry, I don't mean to. In any case, I'll back up. It is superb. Let's go with that. Pretty cool frame. Has different carbon tech bits to it. It came from a race company that does a lot of high-end stuff. So the frame itself is pretty interesting. I just don't like internal routing, but there it is. It's not too horrible, so I was actually navigate through that okay. But the wheels go, the DT Swiss hubs, the MV, carbon, just cool stuff. Ultegra on this. Not a fan of this model Ultegra. I'll tell you why. The pitch on the rear derailleur, it's such a huge angle that puts a bind on there. So I got creative and grabbed one of the sleeves from the old housings to give it a little more of a bridge piece. So it actually has that kind of a Teflon coated sliding port, but the angle on them are just super stupid. The front one, same kind of concept. They have a huge high point leverage to really force that derailleur. I understand, it's probably for quick shifting and so forth. Fine. And the rear is designed, I looked at it, it's like designed to have more spring tension and that kind of thing to throw the derailleur back down. I'm sure there was bullet points of trying to make it better, but as mechanical, when you look at an older derailleur and you're like, why the hell did they change this? I mean, why? I mean, you just taking something to make it different, but yet they made it more complicated? Huh. Sounds like a company I know well that does that quite a bit. Starts with a S and a H. In any case, mechanic over all these years, I can be biased and I can be judgmental because I have worked through this stuff when it's new, and some of it is crap coming out of the line, especially the Dura-Ace. Sometimes, especially the Dura-Ace triple was the first launch nightmare because they didn't do the proper specs to the frames on those for the companies to do it correctly. I think that was one of the excuses. The other one was it just didn't shift up front. It's really hard to explain to somebody when you bought a $5,000 bike at the time to $10,000 bike back in the early 2000s going, yeah, it has the Dura-Ace triple. I know you've been looking for the triple. They really didn't test it, so it shifts like shit. So, yeah, they fixed it. So there goes the story with new. I usually wait till new part 2 or part 3 or maybe part 4 because they've worked out all the bugs. That goes with all componentry. It's not specifically just with Shimano. SRAM has its own issues. Campagnolo as well. You name it. Microshift probably has their own style of pile of crap that they push out there. In any case, that's part of the industry bit of the componentry. But this one is pretty dialed. The brakes work really well. It's a solid bike. He's put thousands of miles on this thing. The guy rides a lot. And he is pushing upper numbers, and he's also pushing age of upper numbers. So hey, so hopefully I got this thing dialed. It'll be interesting to see his first couple of rides. He's mechanically inclined enough that if there's any cable housing need adjustment, that he'll be able to do that on the fly. I'm sure there will be because it's brand new cables in the housing, and I couldn't pre-compress because of the barrel adjusters on those. I couldn't pre-compress that cabling like I would on other bikes to get those fittings in to be snug and tight. Cable stretch is just an easier way of saying the housing compresses down, so it elongates the cable. I know, it's kind of one of those things like we just say cable stretch. The cable doesn't stretch. It's pre-rolled. It doesn't stretch. What happens is that housing that sits in, the fittings on there will compress down, which actually lengthens the housing or lengthens the cable. Oopsies there too. In any case, those are little tech bits that you come across when you're working on all bikes, and little nuances, but this particular drivetrain is still pretty solid. It works really. It's held up for him. I mean, or he would have been like, out, I'm going to get something different. So it's worked good enough for somebody that formerly raced and been in the industry for 50 years. So in any case, without further ado, let's jump on this bike and go for a little spin around the neighborhood. Let the wind blow through my hair and get out of the garage. I've been doing this for 2 hours yesterday, 9 o'clock, about a good 7 hours on one bike, 2 days. I was like, I have to get this done. It can't be a day 3 bike. I mean, as much as how cool it is, I just don't like working on the same thing for 3 days straight. It's just hard on any mechanic, even 2 days. But in any case, I had a short. Anyway, don't want to go there. Let's go for the test ride. All right. Like the great Matthew McConaughey would say, if you're a hater, that's okay. Everybody has their opinion. So yeah, we're going to take this for a quick spin. Before that, I better check the air on that. Hold on. All right, all aired up. Let's go. Hopefully it's not a slow leak form, but whoop. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. All right, let's take this for a quick spin. So I'm going to go light and polite on the shifting, obviously, because of the wax chain. Check the brakes, make sure I can stop before I get out there. Okay, yep, everything works there. All right. One gear up. Take these nice and slow. It has some pretty good climbing gears. It has a pretty good wide range in the back. Ooh, I'm topped out. Okay. All right. Up, down, down. Yeah, the reason why you go light on the first 5 miles or so, when you're in the gear, you can go. But in the shifting, basically when you wax a chain, you're given a whole bunch of stiff links. So you want that wax to maneuver out and shed, which takes about 5 miles or so for it to kind of get to that super smoothness. All right, we're down, cross chain, let's check. Bam, jumps right up. Gotta like it. Gotta like it. Yeah. All right, let's run through these gears. And the big cog. So this has barrel adjusters up front. And when you're looking at the barrel adjusters here, you got one here and here. So for him, this one's going to be the front derailleur. This one's going to be the rear derailleur in that case. So if he needs to just do a little quarter turn, this might be a perfect example. If I can get it to do its thing. There we go. Yeah. All right. We're getting it. We're getting there. We're looking at cross train. There we go. So new chains. New chains. Whew, that's some weirdness going on. New chains, when you're on the smaller cogs, you want to double check on old cassette. Reason being is that cassette worn out, the smaller chain or small cassette has a less grip of the chain. It may wear out a little bit faster. So we're going to put a little pressure on that small cog. Yep, not skipping. Next gear up. Nope, no skipping. You'll have like a skip pop. It's usually the get that thing to budge. Interesting. Why aren't you not working? All right, I'll have a funnel with that when I get back. But double check those gears, make sure they don't jump. Also, if you need to back off that derailleur adjuster, barrel adjuster, you go up a couple gears and before pedaling, release it a couple cogs that puts the less tension on the housing, which you can get it to, there we go, to start adjusting. But usually you want to do this like on the side of the trail, not while you're riding. Then you go down to your smallest cog, then you go up one, and you feel it engaging. If it jumps two, you need to back it off. If it's not going up, then you need to tighten up or lengthen the housing anyway. A couple more little turns there. There we go. Rear dialed. All right, man, this bike feels really good. I've just been talking about the shifting. The feel of the bike is actually pretty nice. Real smooth, absorbent, but it is a little more of a race geometry. It does feel a little fast. Now a car coming behind me, so I'm scooting up. In any case, let's park this and take a look and review. Over here in the sun, oh, look at that. Look at that weave. You can see the weaving underneath the clear coat. Super. Man, that's sharp. His riding buddies are going to be like, ooh, what happened to your bike, Bradley? It looked like it got a spa day. Yep, sure did. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me. This is a pretty awesome little bike. Check out these awesome pictures in the sun here. Yeah, do a couple little tweaks on it, and I think it's ready to go. And yeah, I'll let them know that the bike is ready for its next adventure. In any case, if it's nice in your neck of woods, please go for a ride. And until next time from the garage, have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for watching, because it's you that makes this channel. So therefore, it is our community. If you have a bike like this or similar, in that case, please comment below. Add to the community. I'll have some information in the description below as well. And again, have a wonderful day. And until next time, from the garage.